Welcome back. I guess welcome to college football playoffs ranking week 1. We got new rankings. We're not listening to AP poll voters anymore. We are straight college football playoff committee from here on out, and we can just dive straight into that. Whether or not they got it right, I know this is the first one. I don't. They didn't impress me as much as the AP has struggled all year. It seems like they have kind of followed in their footsteps by making some questionable rankings, in my personal opinion. I do, however, love where they put Notre Dame, so that was tip of the cap to the CFP committee there. Uh, but coming into this week, Jack and I have struggled once again with our picks, but we are bringing on a couple new segments for the show. Hopefully, from here on out, to maybe stick it in stone for the rest of the time. We'll see how they do, but we want to be able to provide winners for everybody listening, and so we're going to just keep changing up format and keep mixing it up until we find something that we like, that we feel like we can do pretty well. So we did join with the College Football Playoff Committee, and we created our own committee, the Pocket Jacks Committee. So Jack, let's start it off this week with our rankings. What do you got?
Yeah, no, I'm very excited that the playoffs out. Like you said, we don't have to listen to the AP poll anymore. Stick in, having teams like Iowa and Washington just consistently unranked, but a team like Tennessee who hasn't done anything in the top 15 all year. So I was decently happy with the rankings. There are a couple things, but with my rankings, I had the same first three. Ohio
Hold on. Can
State.
we go? Can we start from the bottom? Let's do it how the committee does it. Let's start from the
Okay.
bottom. We're gonna do obviously the top 12, but then the 13, 14, 15 in the hunt. So let's start there. We'll both give 13, 14, 15. You can go in any order from there.
Okay. Well, I did a little bit. I did like kind of two in the hunts. So my main three that were just missed in the hunt right now is Louisville, Oklahoma, and Texas. And then the others that I did do, just because I thought this would be interesting, is I did three that just missed for the group of five. And those three for me are North Texas, South Florida, and James Madison, whose only loss is to Louisville on the road in a close game. So yeah, those are my teams right now that I have just not quite in, but absolutely not dead at all. There's still enough season where if they win out, I think all three of those teams are in.
Yeah, it was interesting because the CFP, I don't believe they had a team in the group of five in the
They
top
didn't.
25 first week,
No,
which is, in my opinion, pretty disrespectful. South Florida getting treated pretty poorly there, and then you've got a couple other teams in the AAC that also have one loss. Memphis, how is Memphis not in the top 25? Like,
yeah, I think it's crazy to me. It was just the layup of all layups to stick Memphis at 25 and don't rank Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee is just, they're not good. I don't know why we keep ranking them. We watched it this weekend. They still haven't beat a team with a winning record. Stick Memphis in there, make it easy. I think they'll clean that up next week.
yeah, that was, I don't know, I was kind of BS on what I thought. Uh, as far as my teams, I go, and this might shock you. Uh, 15 Oklahoma, 14 Texas, 13 Notre Dame.
Oh, okay.
So I've
Interesting.
got a couple of those teams a little bit lower than what the CFP has them at. The CFP has Texas at 11. They have Oklahoma at 12, and they have Notre Dame at 10, all within that top 12. The only reason that I have them outside is because this is week 1, and all three of these teams have 2 losses. So I just it can change. They can always go up to me in the next few weeks, but they are outside of the top 12 mark with what I have inside the top 12, and that will just get me into. I'll just start going from the 12th spot now. Uh, I've got Oregon at 12. Oregon has not proven to me that they have really a key victory. Their key victory at this point would be Northwestern, and they're 5-3. I don't really consider them a good football team. Uh, they have a loss at home to Indiana. Uh, so I have Oregon at 12. Then I go to Louisville. I have Louisville at 11. Louisville's a one-loss team. I
Okay.
like them up there with how I did this was I went structured based off of their best wins versus their best losses, kind of. And I think Louisville is right up there. Then I have Georgia Tech at 10 because I think
Oh,
that they're a little bit better than Louisville. They've got one loss to NC State, but they've proven to me that they should be in at this point with one loss. Uh, 9, Texas Tech, another team that has one loss, has looked pretty good up to this point. They don't really give me a reason that they should be outside the top 12. So I've got them inside it at 9. Virginia at 8 because they have the head to head against Louisville, so they automatically need to be over them. They do have the same loss as Georgia Tech. And I know that Virginia's been getting by these teams by winning marginally against North
yeah.
Carolina, a couple other, the Cougs. Uh, they've been
Wow.
winning games by very short margins, but at this point, to me, what matters is that you're winning the games, and they're winning the games. So I have them up there. It's kind of the same theory with Georgia. Georgia's been winning games. They don't really have a marquee win, I guess, like Tennessee maybe is their best win, but Tennessee's not great at this point. They have a loss to Bama. So then we move up. We go to 7. We've got Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss below Georgia. Georgia at 6 because of the head-to-head there. So Georgia will be 6. Bama will be 5 because they beat Georgia. And then I go straight undefeated teams from here on out. So BYU 4, Ohio State 3, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 1.
Oh, are you going with A&M at the number one spot?
I have A&M at 1 because I think that they have proven that they have won. They have better wins than Ohio State. This is nothing to fault Ohio State. Ohio State has looked great up until this point. They're undefeated, but to me, they haven't played anybody. They've played a top 75 offense. The best offense they played is one offense in the top 75, and that's Washington. Outside of that, Ohio State has played nobody. I think Indiana and Texas A&M have had a better resume up to this point of the season. That's not to fault Ohio State, but in my power rankings, Texas A&M 1, Indiana 2, Ohio State 3, and BYU 4, and they're undefeated. This can all change with BYU very quickly.
And it most likely will if Vegas is saying if Vegas is predicting actually ends up happening, then BYU probably will drop a little bit. But yeah, all right, jumping into my rankings, we're a little bit different here. I think we ranked a little bit different because I put Memphis at my 12. Obviously, I don't think they're 12th, but just my G5 team is Memphis. And then I'm a little lower on Virginia. I have Virginia at 11. I I like their win or their wins that they've had over Louisville, especially. They're winning close. They still need to prove a little bit more to me to get in that top 10. I got Notre Dame at 10. Just their two losses are both very respectable losses, with Texas A&M being one of the best teams and Miami's still a good team even though they're dropping off a little bit more. Then I go Texas Tech at 9. I have them below Oregon just because I think Oregon's loss to Indiana is a higher quality loss than Texas Tech's loss to Arizona State. So then next up, I have Oregon at 8, Ole Miss at 7. I think they've played great. Just nothing too impressive, nothing too to put them down either. And then let's see, BYU is at 6 for me. Still just want to see a little bit more from them. If they beat Texas Tech, I think they belong in the top 3 conversation at this point. And then I go Georgia, Bama, clear head to head. I think Georgia and Bama right next to each other makes perfect sense. And then I go Texas A&M at 3, Indiana at 2, and Ohio State at 1. And the main reason for Ohio State being at 1 for me is just the eye test. I think people are maybe undervaluing the Texas win at this point. They're starting to play a little bit better. And Indiana being above Texas A&M, I could interchange those easily. I just like that the way that Indiana is winning. They're not just winning games, they're killing teams. And I don't think either of us see Ohio State or Indiana losing for the rest of the year. So we'll figure out on those two teams in the Big Ten championship exactly where they're ranked. But yeah, a great poll. Did you have anything that really shocked you in the poll? I thought Iowa was a little higher than I expected. And
Yeah. I have a question for you about your ranking, and that it goes back to the Texas Tech and Oregon. You have Oregon above Texas Tech. They both have one loss. Obviously, Oregon's loss a little bit better, but do you factor in the best wins? Is the question, because obviously Texas Tech has some better wins than Oregon, I would think, in at this point.
well, I was actually trying to think about that. I was like, well, what is Texas Tech's best win? Is it Kansas State at this point? Who would it be?
I mean, probably Utah. They're 7-2.
Yeah. Yeah, Utah. Yeah, you're right. Utah. I forgot about Utah, but they're neck and neck there. I just want to see a little bit more from Texas Tech. I'm still not out on Oregon. They're interchangeable for me. I just put Oregon, and pretty much my deciding factor there was that I thought the loss to Indiana was a better quality loss than the loss to Arizona State, even though you do have to factor in Oregon lost at home and Texas Tech lost on the road. So they're pretty similar. I, it's tough, and I think this week, especially with BYU Texas Tech, we're going to get a lot of answers there. A lot of answers in that game. I'm
Yeah,
very excited for that one.
I agree. Yeah, I it was surprising to me. Obviously, no G5. Miami and Notre Dame was a big question coming into it for me. Obviously, they value Notre Dame up to this point of the season a little bit more, which is, I mean, on paper, they have the same amount of losses, and Miami has the head to head. So, I mean, there's that. And then I just think that like some of these ACC teams are being undervalued. With Georgia being so high and Georgia having like just scraped by Florida, to me, the CFP really values Florida as a three-loss team for some reason. I don't know why. Um, it's that SEC bias that we see every year with all those teams, Bama, Georgia, and Ole Miss playing them. But then you have Virginia, Louisville, Georgia Tech in the ACC, and it's like, well, I don't know, they're kind of still doing the same thing as all those teams, just in a different conference. So we'll see how it plays out. But first week, can't get too high or too low on the rankings. That was kind of my question to you: was who got screwed in the CFP?
First off, I would just say the G5 as a whole kind of got screwed. I think there's Memphis is a good enough team to be in the top 25. I know they have that one loss, but you beat South Florida, whose only loss is to Miami, and they beat Florida, who, as we just said, the committee is valuing, and they beat them on the road, and they beat them. I mean, they didn't blow them out, but they handled them. So I'd say the G5 is probably a little bit of the loser there. You know, you're only getting one team in. Um, Trying to think who else was a little bit lower. Let's see if I have the poll here.
Yeah, for
You have,
me, it's Louisville and Georgia Tech. I mean,
yeah,
both of them
yeah.
are 8-1. They're still in a major conference in the ACC, uh, and at this point, why are we faulting them for being in the ACC at 8-1? Uh,
Yeah.
I I just think that they could be a little bit higher than what they were at.
Yeah, I actually like that looking at the poll that the ACC as a whole, I think, is getting ragged on a little bit. Like, why Louisville's only loss is to Virginia. That both those teams should be higher, I think. And
Yeah,
you can point at some good wins for Louisville with Miami on the road. Shit, James Madison's a good win. And they're handling these
exactly,
teams too. So I
exactly.
I like that. Yeah, the ACC and the Big 12, I think, are a lot closer than people make them out to be. And I don't think the top half of those conferences are as far away from the SEC as the Big Ten, as everybody says too. Like I think you could
Yeah,
stick Texas Tech in the SEC or the Big Ten, and they would compete. It's not like they'd be 5 and 7.
yeah. Yeah, it's fun now that we have those out, and that will be changing quite a bit, especially with this week with Texas Tech and BYU, like you said. Uh, so now, I talked about it earlier. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, and asking you, these teams, are they overrated, properly rated, or underrated in the AP poll in the market? I kind of want to bring that back, but I'm going to pivot the question just a tiny bit, and it's going to be Same thing, but for quarterbacks. So I've got 5 quarterbacks. I want to know if you think they're properly rated, overrated, or underrated. We'll start off with Julian Sayin, Ohio State quarterback.
Yeah, I think you've talked about it a lot that he started off very underrated. I think he's starting to get that respect. He could just be the best quarterback in the country. Like we'll come to see it, but he's got 80% completion percentage, which is by far the best in the country. So I'll say he's still slightly underrated. I don't think he's getting enough credit for Ohio State's success as a whole.
I like it. Fernando Mendoza, Indiana.
I think he might be a little overrated. I don't know. I haven't watched enough of Indiana. I'm going to try to watch the full Indiana Penn State game this week. I just think Indiana's a very good team, and it's not like Mendoza is just putting them on his back. He's looked great, but he didn't light up Oregon or anything like that. I think Indiana's just a well-oiled cog with Mr. Signetti. And it's kind of a
I love
team
it.
thing more than just a
I
Mendoza
agree.
thing.
I agree. Uh, Haynes King, Georgia Tech.
I love him. I love him. I'll say he's underrated just because I love him. Him and Pavia, they're just what college football is. They're college football QBs. You know, you're probably not going to see them lighting it up on Sundays anytime soon. But I know Georgia Tech lost this week, but Haynes King, he's just a winner. He figures out a way to win games late, whether they're close or whoever they're playing. Haynes King is underrated in my book.
And I saw he's averaging the most amount of yards with as far as every other quarterback. So kind of shocking that he's not a little higher in the Heisman talks there because I'm with you. I think he's a little underrated.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you said you weren't on Georgia Tech got slandered. It's like you lose one game and you dropped almost 20. Come on.
Yeah. Uh, Two left here. Carson Beck, Miami.
God, this one, his rating or whatever you want to call it has been a roller coaster. I'll say he's overrated. We talked about it very early in the year that we are just unsure. He came out and he looked great, and now he's kind of back to a little bit more Georgia Carson Beck, where he's throwing picks, and then in the post game presser, he's like, "Well, my receiver ran the wrong route. Never would have happened." I'm not a huge Carson Beck guy. I'll say he's overrated.
I agree. And last, Marcel Reed, Texas A&M.
You and I have talked about this. I think he's the most underrated player in the country at this point. I don't know why he's not being thrown around for more Heisman. You just watch the guy, and he's electric. There's nothing else to say about it. He runs, he throws, he does everything you can possibly want out of a QB. He's got a great coach. Marcel Reed is underrated and still a deep Heisman sleeper in my eyes if they go undefeated.
Yeah, that could be. He could rise to the top pretty quickly if they keep winning football games and he keeps playing at a very good high level of football.
Yeah. Well, the question that I got here for you, and I'm going to kind of lay the scene, and I think you'll actually like this question since you're a little higher on the ACC than the consensus is. But the ACC is just a complete clusterfuck right now. Virginia is 5-0 in the ACC. Funny enough, Virginia's one loss, NC State, another ACC school, was technically not a conference game, so they're undefeated in the conference. And then we have Georgia Tech, Pitt, Louisville, SMU, and Duke all have one conference loss. And then there's Miami with 2 losses. Funny enough, Duke is the favorite right now to win the ACC. Scheduling aside, give me your 2 best teams in the ACC and why.
Scheduling aside, meaning what they have left on their schedule, meaning or what they've played to this point.
Kind of both. Just like who do you think the 2 best teams are? Maybe, a team like Duke, who has had a couple tough non-conference games and lost those. Maybe you have them a little higher because their schedule's been tougher than a team like Virginia, for example.
Okay. Yeah, Duke, start with them. They've got the loss to Tulane, Illinois, Georgia Tech, all 3 very respectable losses up to this point of the season. They do go and have a couple tough games down the stretch, in my opinion, being Virginia, who is leading the ACC. I don't know if they win that. They do have them at home, though, so that will be an interesting game. And then at North Carolina, I know their record doesn't say it, but they are turning the corner a little bit. They're very well coached, and you can see them getting better every week. Won't be a tough game on the road for Duke. So I don't actually see them winning the ACC. I, I could see them having 4 or 5 losses
Yeah.
as their overall record coming down the stretch. Maybe even 4 in conference, but we'll see. SMU moving up to them. They've got the one loss to Wake Forest. They do go on the road to Boston College this week, and then have Louisville, who's a pretty solid opponent, and Cal on the road, who's another solid opponent. I don't see
Yeah.
them being able to keep up enough traction to kind of hang in that top 2 or top 3 in the ACC. Louisville has the loss to Virginia. It's their only loss of the year, and they also have a tough kind of schedule coming down the stretch here with Cal, Clemson, going on the road to SMU. It's not really easy sledding. I know they're winnable games, but
Not
it's
easy.
you still got to fight every week in these kind of games. So I don't see them hitting the mark. And then we'll go to number 2 here, Georgia Tech. Obviously have the one loss to NC State in very similar fashion to Virginia. They also have the loss to NC State. And then you have them coming down the stretch with a pretty tough game in Georgia to finish the season. Obviously not a conference game. And then Pitt would be their only other game that I'm kind of looking at, saying like, man, they might, like, that's going to be a tough game to win, but they do have them at home. So I like them to beat Boston College. I like them to beat Pitt and make the ACC championship. And then Virginia, let's see, they've got Duke left on the schedule, Virginia Tech. It's a rivalry game. To me, if they win, they only have to win one of those, with the NC State loss being an out-of-conference game early in the year. I think they can win one, if not both of those games. Obviously, they're going to beat Wake Forest in my eyes. So I have them and Georgia Tech kind of just taking over the ACC with what they have on their schedule. They only really have to pick up a couple more, and then they've secured that spot in the ACC. So I like Virginia and Georgia Tech a lot.
Yeah, I like it. And the team in the ACC that can really screw things up in my eyes is Pitt, because they went to that new quarterback and they've played a lot better. And myself included, I just haven't really been talking about them much, but they're right there. They're kind of like giving me SMU vibes from last year, where they're just right there. I know they have some tough games. They play Notre Dame, but the ACC is crazy. I about shit when I saw that Duke was the favorite to win it.
Yeah, that does not make much sense in my eyes.
They must be.
What is
They
Georgia
must be.
Tech and Virginia at?
They were right behind them. The only thing that made sense to me is Duke must have right now. They must be the tiebreaker darling, where they somehow, if all these teams tie, they have all the tiebreakers. It's the only thing that makes sense to me on why they would be
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah, that is weird. Do you want to get into the slate for this week?
I got one more question for you, and this one's kind of an interesting one here before we move on. So going back to Ohio State, and I'm going to name a player on Ohio State, and you're going to tell me if there's a better player in the country, because I want to see what volume of players does Ohio State, or they're just the best players in the country. Starting
At
off,
that position?
just yeah, let's just keep it simple and let's just do that position.
Okay.
So starting off, I think we both know the answer to this one. Jeremiah Smith.
Probably the
Are
best
you-
player, best wideout in the country.
Yeah, I think you could argue best player. Caleb Downs. I think we both think's the best safety.
Best safety, yep.
And then how about Arvell Reese?
I'm high on him. He's maybe, I mean, Caleb Downs is, I think, coming in to the season and maybe still projected as the best defensive player in this draft class, but Arvell Reese to me has been insane. I put him above Caleb Downs.
Yeah. And then how about Sand, the QB? Would you rather have any other QBs?
Yeah, Sand's tough because I think he's probably one of the best quarterbacks, probably top 3, top 5 at this point. Uh, There is probably some guys I would rather have, but you have so many. It's such a well-oiled machine all around him. You don't really need that kind of big playmaker guy that's going to carry you all the way there. You just need a game manager and somebody that's going to do what needs to be to win. And I think Julian Sane is the absolute. He embodies that, and it just works for them. So yeah, that's fine with me as well.
Yeah, and then the last one that I wrote down because I don't think he's clearly not the best at his position on his own team. Carnell Tate, the other wide receiver.
Yeah.
How many receivers are you taking over him?
Probably not a lot, to be honest with you. He's probably a top three receiver in college football and just gets so shadowed by Jeremiah Smith. Nobody talks about him, but he is very, very impressive.
Yeah, it's just you could almost make an argument. I don't think it's true, but you could at least argue that Ohio State has the five best players in the entire country, which at this point is just crazy. I think they for sure have the best three, four and five, maybe not, but goddamn, they are loaded.
Yeah, they're very good, and I just want to see him play somebody. I mean, I know they had Texas, Penn State, all these matchups that were lined up to be good games coming into the season, but I want to see them play a very solid. I want to see him play a Texas A&M. I want to see him play uh, Indiana or even a Virginia. Like any of
Yeah.
these teams that are one-loss teams. Shit, I'd like to see him play Oregon at this point. Just strengthen the schedule a little bit. I want to see what they have when it comes to winning close games because
Yeah.
I haven't. I know Texas was close, but it's almost a throwaway game with it being first week. Nobody's really. Both those teams are very different at this point in the season than they were first week, along with a lot of other teams in college football as well. So I would like to see him play some more talent and see what happens in a close game.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch those guys, especially Sane. We've been saying it. You just said it. They've yet to truly get punched in the mouth. Like Penn State kind of hung in there, but I think we all knew what that game was going to end up like. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's weird being this
Uh,
deep into the season, not really knowing.
it is. And Ohio State normally does have, with that Big Ten schedule, they play a tougher road. But for whatever reason this year, it's just worked out in their favor. So moving on, let's get into the slate here. We've got a few games. We are changing it up this week where we will be giving picks on each of these games. However, they will not be in a graphic that we go to for social media posting for the sole reason that we have been horrible and we don't want to give out losers anymore. So we're gonna try change it up. We're gonna give picks on these games, but we're gonna just kind of pivot in some different directions. Give you some of our best picks for the weekend, whether or not they're in the slate or not. So moving on to the first game on the slate, we're gonna go to the G5. This is a very highly anticipated matchup with number 4 Tulane in the AAC taking on number 2 in the AAC Memphis. Memphis 3.5 point favorites at home here with a total of 54.5. This series, Memphis leads 25-15-1, and Tulane has won the last two. This will be a fun matchup. It's a huge conference game when it comes down to who's getting in as the G5 spot. I think we've all kind of narrowed it down to the AAC at this point, and there's about 4 teams in the AAC that they're battling to win that conference and play in the conference championship. Jack, what do you take of this game? I think it opened at 5.5. It's down to 3.5. What are your thoughts?
Well, that was the first thing I was going to ask because I wrote down these lines early in the day, but I saw that Memphis was at 5.5, so it's interesting that it's trending towards Tulane. I love that this game's Friday game. I love these big G5 spots on Friday. It's going to be a great game, and like you said, I think it's pretty much the American champion, or if the American finds a way to beat themselves up, then maybe JMU can somehow sneak in, but I don't really see that happening. But with Memphis being the top rated G5 school, I don't think there's much of a drop off between the South Floridas, the North Texases of the world, even Tulane, who just dropped a total stinker last week. Also, Friday game. I do like Memphis here minus 3.5, but we've watched it all season. These Friday games seem to brew upsets. So it was a total look ahead loss last week for Tulane, losing to UTSA, and they were looking ahead to this game, which we saw earlier this year with Memphis. Exactly happened against South Florida. They beat South Florida, but the week before they lost the look ahead spot to UAB. It was horrible, which was just
Yep.
crazy. So I do like Memphis here. I like them at home.
Yeah, and I thought it was a look ahead spot for last week. Some idiot told us to take Rice money line, and that didn't work out very good. Memphis absolutely coming off a massive, massive win against Rice.
Team of
Something
the
I
year.
noted in this matchup is Memphis is 9-20 against the spread in conference games coming off a win. So doesn't look good in that department. On the flip side of things, you have Tulane, who's 23-14 against the spread, coming off a loss. Tulane is coming off a loss. They're 23-14 against the spread, and then Memphis coming off a win, a conference win. So I'm going to lead Tulane plus the 3.5 here. Like you said, I like the Friday night spot with the underdog. It's been pretty good all year. I know it's been home underdogs, but I like the trend of underdogs to keep going. So Tulane plus 3.5.
Yeah. I also, this feels like a shootout. Does this feel like a points game to you?
Yeah, especially with the total being 54.5. Vegas is calling for points. I don't hate going over that number.
All right.
Let's see. Want to move on to we've got three ranked matchups. We don't have to get into them quite yet. We can pivot to a rivalry game, rivalry that they call the first Saturday in November. It seems like Bama has the trend of having the first Saturday in November and the third Saturday in October. Jesus, what else do they have? They might have the first week in December at this point. They also call it the Saban Bowl. So I know LSU underwhelming, just fired their coach. Bama number 4, total of 49.5. Bama laying 10.5 points here. It's a rivalry game. I don't know if you throw everything out in this one with Bama being good, but the spread says to take Bama. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I looked up LSU's interim head coach is Frank Wilson. I think he was just a staffer there. Sometimes you can get that interim head coach bump off a bye too, but I also see Bama's coming off a bye, so they're going to be ready. And the thing about LSU, people get up for the LSU game. One thing I looked at this season that was kind of a good statistic that I thought Bama is 4-0 against the spread at home, covering pretty easily in every game except that Vanderbilt game was kind of a late backdoor cover there. While LSU is 1-2 against the spread on the road, with their only cover being against Clemson, which we've seen. Clemson was probably way the most overvalued team in the country coming into the year. So I really like Bama here. I had him at minus 10. I fired it there. Going to talk about it later. Bama at night. DeBoer seems to really, they get up at home. They get up for the LSU game. I love the Tide here, minus the points.
Okay. This is 2 in a row then that I'm on the opposite side of you. I've got LSU plus the 10.5. This is weird to me because I look at this game and it kind of reminds me of Florida Georgia. You had a team that's been very underwhelming, but still has talent, being Florida and LSU. Both underwhelming teams have talent on the roster, but just haven't been able to win games. They just fired their head coach, very similar between Florida and LSU. They both have extra weeks to prep coming into the game, very similar in that matchup. Both kind of rivalry games and both big dogs coming into it. We saw Florida hang with Georgia there. It just seems like a similar spot. I know it's not a neutral site like Florida Georgia was, but to me it seems like a similar spot. This is an LSU team that's got nothing to lose, and maybe Bama is looking ahead to Oklahoma next week. I'm going LSU plus the 10.5 here.
All right. Yeah, I like it. Also, we didn't talk about it. Gunnar Stockton running in, just running in, just running in. Last play of the game, knees on the one.
Oh my God, we were on the opposite side of that one, and we were cheering together in the Desperado, greatest wings in Missoula. That was great.
We had.
Spent about 6 hours. We put a full shift at the Desperado in on Saturday,
We watched an entire baseball game. That's saying something.
and a baseball game that went into extra innings too. So holy smokes! Let's just say that the Desperado might need to invest in some better chairs. I was feeling it the next day.
Oh yeah, that LSU game. That's always LSU Alabama. That's a game that you always have circled. It's a must watch. Great
So
game. Great.
what do you refer to it as? Do you refer to it as the first Saturday in November, or do you refer to it as the Saban Bowl?
I'll go Saban Bowl because being honest, I didn't even know they played this game on the same week every single season.
Yeah,
I knew the third Saturday in October with the Tennessee game, but maybe Alabama just has every game. The rivalry game's just the week they play it, and it's like they're it's for a while there. It was like, yeah, the third week in January, aka the national championship.
yeah. Bama's trying to schedule week 2030 right now with all the set in stone matchups that they have. It's like people are coming. Oh no, we've got Tennessee third Saturday in October. Oh, sorry, we've got LSU first Saturday in November. They're booked out. They're
Auburn on Thanksgiving. It's
yeah,
always
exactly.
right after.
Uh, let's move on to a matchup that's not ranked, and then we'll get into the three ranked matchups, saving the best for last. Let's go down to Vanderbilt with a team we were both on last week. Unfortunately, didn't cash for us. They take on Auburn. They are laying 6.5 at home here with a total of 45.5. Vandy with the most recent win in 2024 in this matchup. But this series is at 22 and 22, dead even. So winner takes all here in the, I guess it would be the 50th matchup because they did have one tie. So
I think we got
we'll
to check
see.
that math.
Oh, sorry, 45th, 46th matchup because of the tie. 22, 22, 44, one tie, 45. This will be the 46th matchup for all the marbles.
That 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 surprises me because I know Auburn's not like an SEC blue blood, but Vandy, rather than the last 2 years, has been pretty much the bottom dweller of the SEC. So maybe these
Yeah,
teams aren't as far apart in the long run as some would think. Obviously, Auburn got a couple national championships in there. But for me on this game, oh, also DJ Durkin, interim head coach. If he sounds familiar, he was the head coach at Maryland a while back. 2 seasons gone. Assuming he was on staff for Freeze being fired, we called that one. Week 0, we called it last week. Vandy, it just feels like I like the under here. It feels like both these offenses are kind of having a tough time putting points up on the board. And I'm not betting this game. I don't like this game either way. And I can't believe I'm doing this because Vandy has been the team that I've been riding nonstop, and Auburn's been the team I've been against every week. I kind of like Auburn here. It feels like both these teams are always in close games. So give me this game inside of a touchdown, a one-score game. Vandy in a low score. Vandy, I'll say 17-13. Score
okay.
prediction.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do know, DJ Durkin, coach of Maryland, probably only gets fired because the kid dies at Maryland. He
Oh,
also coached under Jim Harbaugh and Urban Meyer, some big names there. I think Urban was Bowling Green and Florida, uh, two separate occasions. But I was with you. This is a tough one to pick because on one side you have a team in Auburn that to me is really not that bad. I know they have some losses, but a lot of very close losses. They've got a talented roster outside of the quarterback position. It's a good team. I just wish they had a better quarterback. Uh, and then, maybe you talked about it earlier. Maybe they get the interim coaching bump here, where You don't really, it's throw everything out, new season. Let's stop thinking so much and just go play football. So I do like that spot, but at the same time, Vandy's coming off a loss and they're going back home. I like that side of it too. I'm with you here. A muck it up game with a new coach and a Vandy offense struggled to put points on the board. I like the under 45.5 here.
Is that what you're on there? Because I was like, I just
Yeah.
don't know on this game. It feels like an under spot.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
All right. I like that. Let's see. Are we going into the rank v ranks now?
Yeah, we've got a lot to choose from. I don't know where you want to go first.
Should
Do
we
you
go?
have a preference?
Yeah, let's go with that Big Ten spot. Let's go Oregon, Iowa.
All right, Oregon, number 9. Very, very fun matchup here going on the road to Iowa, number 20. Iowa catching 6.5, very low total of 40.5. 3 previous matchups in this series, Oregon leads it 2-1. This one's weird for me. I love this matchup. I've talked about Oregon not playing anybody up until this point, and I think Iowa's still a really solid team. They are very dangerous. They're not sexy though. Nobody's talking about them because they're not sexy. They don't do anything too crazy, but they win football games, and this could very well be a team that goes 9-3, doesn't make the conference championship, and just doesn't have a shot at the playoffs. But they're dangerous, and they're at home here. I believe it's supposed to rain.
Yeah.
That probably factors a little bit into the total. But Iowa always notorious for having very low totals here. They almost beat Indiana. They're not a team to mess around with. They are 13-7-2 at home against the spread as an underdog. So I love that aspect of it. They've won 8 out of those 13 outright as an underdog. So I love that too. And I'm just going to lean here. I actually love both of these. I like Iowa plus the points here, plus the 6.5. I know the line tells you to probably take, I guess, I don't know. It's probably saying to take Iowa, but I like Iowa plus the 6.5 at home. I also like the under 40.5 a lot.
Yeah. No, we pretty much are on the same boat on this one. I did look up because the weather's supposed to be really bad on my little weather app on my phone. Looks like the high for Saturday in Des Moines is a high of 45 with the heavy rain emoji and the wind gusts up to 30 miles an hour. So I think it's going to be a complete shit show out there. And
Bring your sunscreen. Holy shit.
yeah, I love what you said about Iowa, where they aren't sexy, but they played Indiana way tougher than anybody has played Indiana this year, and it's not necessarily close. That game was also at Iowa. I like the under here as well. 40.5. I was trying to do some research today. I'm like, when's the last time Oregon has had a total that's been 40 or below? I couldn't necessarily find anything. I asked my good buddy old pal ChatGPT. He said it was the 90s since the last time that's been there. I know AI is not fully dialed in, but I'm going to go with it. An under 40.5 with a total that low. ChatGPT says Oregon hasn't had a total that low since the 90s. So you got to take it. You got to take it. And
Okay, yeah, I'm with you. Under 40.5, muck it up game. I like them. The
yeah,
Hawkeyes. Another ranked matchup, probably the most anticipated one of the week, going to the Big 12, where number 7 BYU takes on number 8 Texas Tech. Vegas saying that Texas Tech's going to absolutely come in and fucking destroy them. Laying 10.5, total of 52.5. Absolute shocking line. I believe game day is going to be going here. I do have a cousin that's going to be down there. I told him to take the tortillas out of his bag because he won't need those anymore. And it don't matter if they're corn or flour. You got to take them out and bring them in the game. Let's start there. I mean, come on. What is that? That's bullshit. They're not letting these kids throw tortillas?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on about it. The Big 12's coming in with fines, forcing the refs to call penalties on them. go back and look at that Texas Tech Kansas game if you're curious about. We'll call it the Tortilla Bowl, where they were like, "We're laying the hammer this game," and they flagged them, and then Kansas was like, "We got a knife thrown at us," but then it was actually one of the coach's knives. Very weird. I like the tortillas. I'm gonna miss them.
So do I. What the hell? It's not like we're throwing golf balls on the field. It's just a tortilla. Who cares if you're getting hit by these fucking D linemen way harder than you're getting hit by a tortilla? But yeah, I mean, what they set a fine, and then they increased the fine, and I don't know what it's at now. Is it 100,000? Is it 15-yard penalty and $100,000 fine? Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure on what the fine number is. I think it was either 50 or 100,000, but the thing that pretty much made them stop is when they were like, "We're gonna start flagging you guys for it." So
So
it
who's
sucks.
collecting this $100,000 fine? Who gets this?
I don't know. Do you think we can maybe get it set up for us? Like the fines just go to us? We'll
I
set it
don't I
right.
don't understand. This is crazy, and I think it's bullshit that they don't let these kids throw fucking tortillas. Come on now. We're turning soft.
I have a question for you. We've talked a lot of hot seats this year. Was there like a designated team in the athletic department for Texas Tech that was like tortilla picker uppers? Or are they on the hot seat?
Oh, gotta have the tortilla picker uppers. You got it.
You know, there's somebody's job. It's like, yeah, dude,
With
you're
that
picking up tortillas.
with that volume of tortillas coming at you, man, you gotta have some designated tortilla picker uppers. But let's get into this game a little bit. Besides the tortillas, we've already clarified that you can't throw corn or flour tortillas. There's a no tortilla throwing policy that has been implemented. Uh, but this will be a great matchup. I would have thought it would have been a closer spread coming into it. 10.5 is steep, but it's obviously steep for a reason. And Texas Tech is getting their quarterback back. BYU, in my eyes, has gotten pretty lucky these last few weeks with a couple things going their way, and I just don't know if they're quite to the spot that they need to that I need to see them at. Um, the other thing is that we talked about this early in the year and early in the podcast. Freshman quarterback going on the road. It's a real thing. Playing on the road in college football is no joke, no matter what it is. Road victories are a thing that you need to get, and they mean a lot when you get them. I think they're undervalued. Winning on the road in college football is no joke, and I think it's very hard for a freshman to do it. So I think BYU struggles here big time. Uh, Texas Tech's got an incredible D line, two defensive ends that are probably first rounders come draft time. But I'm gonna follow Vegas here and Texas Tech laying the points minus a 10.5.
Yeah, I like that pick. One massive thing on this game also, BYU starting running back, one of their best players. They're a very run heavy team. LJ Martin is doubtful at this point. Sounds like he's not going to play. I do have to shout out College Game Day. I was on their ass a couple weeks ago for not going to the right spot. This is the right spot. Thank you for not going to Texas A&M, Missouri. Mix it up a little bit. Um, this game really reminds me of the line itself reminds me of the Cincinnati Utah game last week, where you see Cincinnati and they're both ranked, and then it's a monster spread for Utah. And I stuck my finger into the little mouse trap last week, and it snapped my finger, and Utah blasted them by 30. So I like Texas Tech here. I also think Texas Tech is the more desperate team with BYU having no losses in general, no losses in the conference. Texas Tech does have a conference loss. If they lose this game, they're going to need some serious help to even get in the Big 12 championship, let alone the college football playoff. So give me Texas Tech minus 10.5 here.
So, Jack, do you think, let's say Texas Tech wins this game, BYU and Texas Tech go on to play in the conference championship and win out? One of them finishes the season with two losses. Uh, let's just say, so BYU's undefeated. They lose this game. They're both one. They both have one loss going into the conference championship where they play each other. Do you get two Big 12 teams in, or do you only get the winner?
That's a great question. We talked about it a little bit last year. In my opinion, I don't think this is actually what's going to happen. I think they should get two in. I really don't think you should be punished for losing your conference championship game and moving below teams who didn't play. Now, is that really the case? I don't know. It's going to be interesting there. I honestly think the Big 12's best shot at getting two games in is BYU running the slate, going 12-0, and then losing in the conference championship, because then you have to stick BYU in at 12-1, and then probably Texas Tech, maybe Cincy or Utah would be that other
And
team who would beat them. But what do you think about that?
I don't know. It's interesting because they play. Let's say BYU loses this game, they play in the conference championship. Let's say they lose again. They both have now. Their only two losses are Texas Tech.
Yeah,
Whereas if they lose this game and then win in the conference championship, then Texas Tech's got a win against them and a loss against them. So how do you? I don't know. I'm with you. I think you probably should get both of them in here. But I guess if there's a two-loss team that lost the conference championship, they're probably not getting rated as high in the Big 12. So I could see them sticking with one. But the way that they rated them this week in the College Football Playoff Committee, they probably don't go out. The loser of this game probably doesn't get bumped outside the top 12. So they're
yeah,
probably still in it anyway. And then it just leaves the conference championship to decide whether or not that's a big enough game to bump you outside the top 12 or if you're going to stay in.
yeah. And it feels like Utah's two losses are to these two teams. So whoever loses this game, I feel like is just going to go right one spot ahead of Utah. Is pretty much how I look at it. And Utah was ranked a lot higher than I expected going in. They are not dead at all in this thing.
Yeah, it'll be a fun conference out, and especially the amount of teams that they get in. I don't know where it's going to go. I almost lean that they're going to get two in just because of the way they ranked them this week. But uh, yeah, it's going to be a question of whether or not the College Football Playoff Committee wants to punish you for playing in conference championships, which at the same time, what they're doing is rewarding you for playing in conference championships by winning them. So
Yeah.
we'll see if it's a double-edged sword there.
Yeah. Well,
You
let's
want
go to what's our last spot here? A little Texas A&M Mizzou action.
Yep, down in Columbia, Missouri. Number 3, Texas A&M going on the road to number 22, Missouri. Missouri catching 6.5 here. Line says to take Texas A&M. Texas A&M leads the series 10-7, winning the last two matchups here. What I've got here, Jack, and I don't know, this game is weird to me. It's a low total, 47.5. Texas A&M's look great to this point. They've been a good machine against the spread for the most part.
Yeah.
But now I wonder, with the Auburn job being open, if Drinkowitz is getting calls. Is he distracted by Auburn calling for this? I don't know. You also have Beulah, starting quarterback for Missouri, who is out for the year. The second string, Sam Horn, was ruled out for the year back in the earlier part of the season. But then you have Texas A&M, who's had 2 weeks to prep. They've looked great. I don't really know. They're 5-12-2 on the road since 2021, which partially is Jimbo Fisher's fault, but there's some Mike Elko in there. And then Missouri's just a weird spot. I don't know. With all the injury news from Missouri side of things, it makes me want to take Missouri. Maybe their coach is a little distracted with some new calls coming in for positions of it open. I don't love taking Texas A&M though. I mean, it just feels like a weird game. It feels like a game that's going to be closer than it probably should. I think Texas A&M gets the win, but I think this is probably a close game. I'm going to side Texas Tech. I don't love it, but for the sake of the show, I'm going to side Texas Tech laying the 6.5.
Texas A&M.
Or,
Six.
sorry, Texas A&M. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on Texas A&M, and it's just the quarterback injuries for Missouri is the main thing. It would be one thing if Perbula was out and they had the backup there, but this is a third stringer, which the difference between your first stringer and your third stringer in college is huge, especially with the portal era, because if a guy can crack the lineup, he'll just go somewhere else. think he's a true freshman. It is a weird spot. Like honestly, I would almost feel more comfortable if this line was like 9.5. Then it would just be like, yeah, I
Yeah.
think Texas A&M blows them out. Is it just me? I know the Texas A&M LSU game wasn't. Has every single game Texas A&M has played in have a 6.5 point spread? Feels like every single time Texas A&M minus 6.5.
For the most part, yeah. I think they get Auburn 6.5.
Florida.
God, there was a few for a while, those 3 or 4 weeks in a row that it felt like it was Texas A&M minus 6.5.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna go with Texas A&M here just because I know what I'm getting with Marcel Reed. Um, God, why am I? What's the A&M's coach name? Oh, Elko and Elko.
Elko.
I know what I'm getting there. Elko, he's making as much money as anybody. I don't think we got to worry about him going anywhere else. So give me A&M minus 6.5 off the bye. Gonna go out kind of thumping
Yeah.
here.
And Elko with 2 weeks to prepare, very defensive centered coach. He's great with an extra week.
And they know which QB they're preparing for, which I think makes a big difference as well.
Yeah. Well, that's all we've got for the slate of the games that we've picked out, which we thought would be the best six of the weekend. Do you want to move on to our new show and introduce the listeners to what we got?
Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna start a new thing called the best bets. We're gonna try to give you guys our three best plays for the week. We've kind of just been a little bit sick to our stomach with how bad our picks have been week after week after week, especially for me on the card. It's just been horrible. So we make fun of us for shying away from the card, but we would just prefer to give winners to you guys. We're still gonna be picking spreads and totals. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No, that's kind of it. Is you just want to get a little bit. We want to get a little bit better of giving out good plays, and we feel as if giving out six of the toughest games of the weekend is not really giving out good plays. So these are not necessarily going to be plays that are on the card. They certainly can be plays that we've talked about, but this is, go anywhere you want in college football, and let's see a winner. So starting it off, we can go best bets first. We've got three of them each, and they're not in any particular order for me. I go Iowa plus 6.5 against Oregon as one of them. I go the under. The 41 is what I got it at in that Oregon Iowa game as well. Same game there. And then under 45.5, Auburn Vandy just feels like a great muck it up spot. Two unders with very low totals. I don't love it, but we're just going to listen to Vegas and hope that we're right.
Yeah, I like it. I put down an honorable mention that I wanted to stick in there, but I wasn't quite confident. I do like Indiana minus 15 against Penn State on the road. Seems like they're just killing teams. Um, I actually also have Oregon, Iowa under 41, booked it. The one that I am going to off the card, weird game. I like UCLA minus 1.5 against Nebraska at home. Raiola is out for the season. Nebraska seems to be trending down. UCLA off a bye, I believe. Travel spot. It feels like the perfect storm for UCLA to get another good win here. And then I'm going to talk about it later, but I really like Alabama minus 10. I booked them there. So those are my main plays. The Tide, the under in that Oregon Iowa game, and UCLA at home minus 1.5.
I like that. I like that UCLA play a lot.
Night spot too.
In the UCLA's got them at home.
Yep, it's at UCLA. I think it's 7 p.m. kick, so it's a late spot. It's a tough one for Nebraska. I think losing Raiola is just kind of an emotional hit on Nebraska as a whole. I think Rule's real happy he signed that extension as well. I don't know if he was going to be getting quite as many calls as everybody said.
Yeah, and UCLA kind of turning the corner, playing some better ball, similar to UNC, and then you get 2 weeks to prepare for Nebraska. I really like that spot with UCLA there. Uh, so yeah, best bets. We'll see how they go. There will be a new graphic for the game, so
Yep.
or the new graphic for the post. So we will see how that goes. Now moving on to our segment that we have continued throughout the entire season, the Lock Dog Parlay. we each give a lock, we each give a dog, and then we combine our brains for a parlay. Jack, do you want to lead us off here?
Yeah, we've talked about it a few times. The lock. My lock sleeper on fire, by the way, 5 in a row, which is crazy. Thank you, Ole Miss, for
Yeah,
that cover. But I'm going back to the SEC, and I'm just on the Tide this week. I love them. I know what the interim coach is pretty much the only thing that scares me with LSU. But watching LSU, I think they had a lot more problems on this team than just Brian Kelly. That offensive line is not good. Nussmeier's still dinged up. I know he had a bye, but I really like DeBoer at home. Give me Alabama -10 as the lock of the week.
perfect. And mine is the exact same number. It is also -10. And I'm going to Texas Tech, BYU. I know it's a ranked on ranked matchup, but Vegas Vegas knows more than we do, and I'm siding with them. Texas Tech -10, lock of the week.
I like it. All right, let me hear this dog. I love hearing your dogs.
Well, so the dog, I just got done telling Jack I placed a bet for an underdog of Tulane over Memphis in that Friday night
Oh,
spot. Um, I
okay.
I like Tulane. I like that it's a Friday night game. I like that conference to just be very competitive for the rest of the year. And so I'm going to go Tulane. I know I was big on the taking the big underdogs, but I can't really find one that I super loved this week. So I'm going to go Tulane on the money line.
All right, I like it. It's the Friday spot again in the American. Let's go
Yep,
Tulane.
I
Well,
like it.
I'm on a game that we've talked about quite a bit. I thought about texting our buddy who was on the pod earlier this year to see if he was getting the tingly feeling, but I didn't want him to talk me off it. I'm going Iowa +200 against Oregon at home this week. Iowa finds a way to win these games at home. Like you said, when they're dogs at home, they had a great record against the spread, and they've won a lot of those games outright. So give me Iowa. Give me like a 10-7. Nasty. Muck it up.
Yeah. And
It,
to go
it's
back to those numbers for you, 13-7 at home against the spread as an underdog. 8 of those 13 being outright victories. So the numbers, the data helps you there.
so I mean they're pretty much 8-12 outright as a home dog, which is an incredible record. I know 8-12 doesn't sound that good, but when you're a dog, that's a great record.
Absolutely.
All right.
You're
Should we
plus,
start
plus
cooking this
EV.
parlay?
Yeah, I had a proposal,
All
and
right. Let's hear
it's
it.
something that we don't do. I don't do a lot. I don't advise for it, but you might. I don't know. I guess since you're already on them everywhere else, you might not love it. But my proposal was two-leg parlay, Iowa plus the points and the under.
Oh, just go same game.
Same game. But
I
you are
might
on them.
I
You
might have to
already
lay
on
them.
them. I didn't know that that was going to be your dog and then in your best bets and everything too. So we can lay off of that. Do you have do you have a criteria that you're looking for? Do you want to go spreads? Do you want to go totals, money
Yeah.
lines?
I like that we did two spreads last week. It didn't hit. That was horse shit, by the way. That was fucking horse shit that Cal did not hit that. That was going to be a great hit for us. We were watching it together. Oh my god, that might have been the beat of the year. Honestly, that was
Yeah.
just that brutal.
For those of you not watching, basically Cal is playing Virginia, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They got him at home. Virginia's driving the field with very little time, and they're leading the game by 3. So we're covering with our 4.5. They end up not kicking a field goal and going for it on fourth down to finish the
Yep.
game. Don't get it. Cal gets the ball back. First play, pick six. They throw the pick and we're screaming at the defender to get down.
Get
Don't know
down.
why he
Get
doesn't.
down.
Apparently, he wants the stats. Not a team player, if you ask me. But uh, yeah, absolutely brutal beat there. That would have been a very good one to cash. what do you think for this first leg here?
Trying to dig here. It's tough this week.
I've
It
got
is.
I've got like two that I kind of like. The
Let me
first
hear
one
'em.
being Washington minus the
Okay.
11 and a half against Wisconsin. I just think that Wisconsin's really not that good. And I mean, there is still a world where Washington runs the table, beats Oregon, and has a living chance to get in.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that happens, but if it is going to happen, they have to win all these games and they have to make a statement. So I think Washington minus the 11 is one spot that we could go. Another
I was kind of
spot.
I was
Oh,
kind
go
of
ahead.
looking at Kentucky plus 3.5. I know we talked about this one a little bit, but it felt like last week for Florida was a kitchen sink game, and this one might just be a little bit of a you had your interim bump and now you're back down. It's just a weird spot. Neither team's very good. Not really convinced. Oh, you
Should
know
we just
what?
drop it?
I do like Indiana minus the points. I really do this week.
All right. So let's go Indiana minus the points, and then we will take. Let's go Washington. Why not?
All right.
On the
I like it.
road.
Two
Little
two
weird,
Big
but
Ten teams here. Two Big Ten
yeah,
teams here playing. Oh, I mean, we've said it. The bottom half of the Big Ten is they're they would have a tough time in a lot of G5 conferences. So I like the top half smoking the bottom half a little bit this week.
yeah, I like it. Uh, First week, college football playoff rankings. First week of the best bets segment. Let's get it rolling here. Let's change the momentum for the next couple weeks of the season and roll into the playoffs hot and heavy.
Love it. Go Cougs.
Let's go.